Back at it again with another Invincible review. This is the season finale of season 3, titled I Thought You'd Never Shut Up. I mean, the action scenes.
I thought you were talking about the notifications on episode 7.
Yikes. Yikes. Yeah, no, the action scenes. Can we just, a second for the action scenes? Between the last 2 episodes, honestly.
Yeah, no, this was on another level. This was a lot. It was even better than what we got in the the Attack of the
7.
Marks. Yeah. Conquest is such an interesting villain, man. I get the feeling that he doesn't give a shit about the Viltrumite Empire. He doesn't care. He don't care about preserving the Viltrumite race. He don't even really give a shit about colonizing Earth. He just want to go somewhere and fight. Mm-hmm. He literally just has a longing for violence. Yeah. And that type of like mindless motivation, it's very easy to understand, and it makes for a compelling character because there's nothing. There's even a few points in here where Mark tries to reason with him, and then there are points where like they're in the middle of a very like kind of like it could go either way point, mm-hmm. and here's Conquest trying to talk. Having full-on conversation. All the other Viltrumites hate me. They think I'm an animal. They think I'm a monster. They send me to do atrocities in their name. And then proceeds to try to kill Mark lately in the final blow.
They put on a masterclass in really making sure you become invested in the character.
Shout out to Jeffrey Dean Morgan, boy.
The voice acting was great.
My God.
But a character that's only been around and will only be around for an episode and a half.
Minutes. You met this character one time, and it was at the very end of the last episode.
And
like
the way
speaking from a
he's
normie
perspective,
into
him.
I know the minute that the comic book readers saw this guy, they got excited. For me, I went from absolutely no knowledge, knowing nothing, like absolutely cold opening at the end of episode 7, going into episode 8, and I got everything.
Yes.
Got everything. Mm-hmm. Completely caught up on the character, completely invested, completely interested, and I mean, made for an absolutely great episode.
And that we've gotten that development and that storytelling through action scenes, effectively.
How excited I got to see Angstrom come back. Mm-hmm. That's the level of excitement I reached for Conquest in one episode.
Yeah. Yep. My only problem with Mark here is, why did he have to keep developing to this point? Like why did it take him seeing Eve and Oliver getting their asses whooped like a second time, by the way, to really get aggressive with Conquest?
I'd imagine it's the same reason why he's the only Mark in all those universes that didn't go bad.
Okay.
It's the lack of that true villainous nature, which it's still in him, or it's maybe the ability to compartmentalize it, the ability to put it away, is the curse and the reprieve for Mark. On one end, it keeps him from being able to access the top level abilities he has so readily, the way that the other versions of him are. It also is a benefit because it keeps him in a better mental state than any of those other versions of him. Right? Okay. It keeps him from joining his father. It keeps him from going on a universe-wide conquest of just trying to dominate anything in his path. He has more mental stability than any of the other versions of himself. At the same time, he has to break that mental stability to get to his virile nature, mm-hmm. which unlocks all of his top level abilities as a Viltrumite. It's almost you know what it is? It's almost like Eve's mental block that everybody wanted to let me know about. So thank you. I have been thoroughly educated and reminded about the episode of Adam Eve, her special, mm-hmm. Where they remind us that she can't manipulate organic matter. Mm-hmm. Thank you, viewers, so much. New and old, I appreciate you for reminding me. Lord Jesus.
You get something wrong, they're going to remind you.
I mean, you know what's funny? Y'all had to have seen all the other comments in there telling me, hey, I had to remind you, I don't know if you watched that special or not. Well, even if I didn't, I know I got it from here. Yeah, it's the same thing. The same thing that keeps Eve from being able to, work with organic matter or, even heal her own self. That thing that has to be almost brought down to a level of death. You have to be right there on death's door to override it. Right. And it's not a thing that was implanted in Mark, or maybe it was. Right. That unique connection between Nolan and his mom, that intersection of upbringing is, I guess, the one thing that kind of created that thing that it was instilled as a block for Mark to keep him from becoming a just a mindless, soulless murderer like Nolan became. The only thing that broke Nolan out of that trance of mindless killing, have to colonize Earth, was his love for Debbie and Mark. So it's that same thing. The mental block had been implanted, not in the same physical way, like Adam Eve, but implanted all the same to keep him from total and absolute power.
And I'll give him the break that he's never actually experienced being full Viltrumite. Like, he's never experienced being on that level. I don't think ever. And so
when Angstrom broke his mother's arm, that's probably the only other time.
Okay. But even that was because something had happened to Debbie. Like, he's never understood mindless, like, rage at some level.
He's understood it, but he's had to be pushed into it. It's not something that he can just readily access.
Okay,
at least
that's fair.
Up until this point, we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it takes some sort of extenuating circumstances for him to push through. I don't, if it's his own mental kind of morality, if it's a thing of he has to be threatened beyond any other recourse. Like, he has no other options but to eliminate this thing that's in front of him without prejudice. Like, you can't stop.
But then that, I guess,
give no quarrel. Don't stop. Don't pull back at all. Not to kill him. You're not fighting to incapacitate. You're fighting to kill.
Mm-hmm. But I guess that's my problem, is that you've been through so much in the last episode. Why does it take you seeing them get their ass whooped again to get there?
The fact that it does take him so long to get there is a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Because where he leaves us at the end of this episode is not where anybody on Earth wants him to be.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's just going to cause more chaos and damage.
Now he's of the mindset, I made a mistake by thinking first and killing later. And that's the one thing that separates him from all the other versions of himself. The closer he gets to this understanding that I can kill first and deal with the circumstances later because that saves lives. Well, that is exactly the mentality that version of him that broke Eve's back in the universe where the original Angstrom comes from. Mm-hmm. That version of him thought exactly like that. Mm-hmm. The only way I save the humans on Earth is by colonizing them. I get to that conclusion by rationalizing violence instead of taking the slow route, instead of taking the incapacitating route, instead of taking the imprisoning route. I should have just killed him, and I would have saved a lot of lives if I just killed him. The skipping of that step is what separates Mark from the rest of the versions of himself.
And I get that nobody would want to see that out of him, but at the same time, at least Cecil understands that there is more to come after Conquest.
Cecil, he's still pragmatic. Mm-hmm. Right? He's not going to jump into the doomsday scenario before he has to.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I guess I do understand where he's coming from on keeping Conquest and bringing him back to consciousness. I get it, because as happy as they are that they just won that fight with him, against him, with mm-hmm. Mark, I think it was very evident that Conquest was stronger.
Yeah.
And really if Conquest didn't talk so damn much, Mark would have died long before Eve even showed up.
Sure.
Let's just keep it a buck. Before Eve ever regained consciousness and set her merry ass out to wherever they was at, where he was destroying the people on that beach, it wouldn't have the time. Like if he wasn't trying to toy with Mark, he would have killed him a long time ago.
Yeah.
Him and Oliver.
I mean,
Lord have mercy. Talk about putting my Oliver discourse to rest.
Sure.
I mean, gets bitch smacked into oblivion and then almost ripped in half. Hey, yo.
Yeah. That was bad.
I will admit this. There hasn't been anything outside of live action that almost brought a tear to my eye. Outside of Lion King 2, when they told Kovu that he couldn't come back to Pride Rock, he had to go out and bounce. That shit brought tears to my eyes. This shit almost made me cry. When he was ripping Oliver, tearing at him, explaining what was happening to him.
That's crazy.
And a fucking, not blood. Blood doesn't come out because, again, he explained your skin hasn't ripped yet, but a tear does. One of Oliver's fucking tears drips off his face and drips on the Conquest's face, but it's not a tear from him because you can see how dead the expression is behind his eyes, so the tear couldn't possibly have come from him, but also he's holding Oliver on top of him and it very obviously dripped down. But it's from both of those reasonings and those you know, that combination of thoughts that you come to that conclusion that that's not really his tear. Not only is he holding a crying child over top of him, but there's no way the dead expression on that man's face produced that tear that's underneath his eye.
Right.
A clutching emotional scene.
Sure.
Had you right there. You had I thought for sure that right as Mark was making contact with him, that he was just going to tear him apart. That he was just going to.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, the emotional beats in this episode do not miss at all. At no point. At no point. None of them. The funeral with Rex, the Adam Eve talking about how she was still in love with Rex, how Mark responds to it. Like, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I don't care.
Yep.
I can't care. I saw you die. I saw you with your jaw hanging off. Now, I'm about to be a hater. I'm about to be a hater because there's something that consistently y'all keep promising me as comic book readers of this IP. You keep telling me, hey, listen, man, hey, look, you don't know what you in for in terms of death. When it comes to Invincible, they don't do fake out deaths. Nah, man, you got it all wrong. That fake out death thing, you just don't understand because you haven't read the books. Well, listen, man, I don't think I'm ever going to understand because they just seem really, really in love with fake killing people. Now, I completely understand what happened with Adam Eve. Again, my answer as to why she wasn't a better fighter, and she was so much better as a fighter with her powers, even before her mental block got broken. She was so much more creative with what she did. I lowered the density of the air. So now all of those hard movements that you making are so much harder to do. You breaking my constructs is much more of a chore now than it was when I was fighting the Marks. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah.
How the hell? I'm sorry. Both of my legs are intact. I haven't been in a coma for the last 3 days. Perfectly healthy.
Not for nothing. Her legs didn't matter because she's flying anyway.
Well, yeah.
She pointed that out.
Donald, does it look like I need to walk? Like, okay, I don't, whatever. But yeah, she was so much better against Conquest than she was against, and I know what y'all getting ready to tell me. Well, the same way, you know, she was learning against Powerplex, she learned against Mark in the other versions of Mark, and that way she was able to better apply herself to Conquest. All of that would make sense if she was awake in the time after she fought the Marks, in between her waking up and finding out she had to go fight Conquest. She was asleep the entire time. She was unconscious. So did she dream of fighting better versus Viltrumites? And then that dream put to application helped her fight the horse shit.
She manifested it.
Bull. They put much more thought into how she was going to fight Conquest versus how she fought the other versions of Mark. And that's okay. Sometimes you just don't hit it out of the park on every single episode in an entire season,
which is fine.
I just still
did it in this episode.
The fighting scene versus Conquest was night and day to what she gave versus the Marks. Just much more equipped.
Mm-hmm.
Much more equipped. I understand she had to break her mental block, and that's how she came back. Dog. So first of all, he punched through her head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jaw hanging off, big ass hole in the side of her head.
Yep.
Then he punches her through her middle section. Probably, heart, lungs, something had to have been disrupted, torn apart.
Some
ripped.
organs, some necessary organs.
She not only does she stay alive long enough to heal herself, for the mental block to be released, for her to heal herself. She stays alive long enough for that to happen. But the whole time while Eve is fighting Conquest, Mark can't get up. That broken femur is messing with him, man. He cannot move. Can't do it. But after my girlfriend's head explodes and she gets punched through the midsection, I can stand up fine. Catch her before she hits the ground.
Kind of my point.
Hold her hand as she's dying. Some of this stuff is convenient. Just so that she doesn't get the final impact and die on impact while she falls out of, because that would have killed her. Right. And then there is no, she's alive long enough for her, her true powers to kick in. No. She'd have died on impact. Everything would have been over.
Mm-hmm.
Been done.
I will also say this. It was one leg. And so when he punches Conquest through his fist and he loses an arm, then...
Well, he had already done that. He had already gotten up and flown to catch her before she hit the ground. Right? Because again, she would have probably splattered into a million pieces. If not, she definitely would have died on impact after being punched in the head, jaw, just kind of flapping in the wind, and then a hole put through her midsection. Yeah. I think a 100-foot drop to the cold ground would have probably done it.
Well, I mean, I guess where I was going with it is he loses use of both fists, so he just starts headbutting Conquest to death,
which was dope as hell.
It was, but he had another leg, did he not? Could he not stomp him out?
What? How was he gonna do that, Josh? If you're gonna stomp with one leg, don't you have to stand on the other?
Well, you can fly.
So he's going to fly up and then drive his one leg. I mean, that's pretty precise. At that point, yeah, I'm just gonna knock you on the ground and headbutt you to death, which was much better.
It made for a better scene.
It makes for a much better scene. Yeah, hell yeah. I don't see this man super kick his way out from nothing, using no momentum. He didn't push off of anything.
Sweet chin music the fuck out of bro.
How did you sweet chin music and you only have one leg to... You don't even have any of your hands to create momentum.
You can make that happen.
Okay. I don't want it. I like what we got.
Okay. Last 2 points that I had at least. Actually, I think...
he asked that man, you still having fun? After it was pretty clear that he was going to die. And that man said, well, you take the good with the bad. Hey, yo, Conquest is an A+ villain. And that must be the only reason why I'm not mad that Cecil didn't just burn his body. Because number one, Cecil doesn't know that there are only 50 of these things left.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he did, yeah, sure, get rid of Conquest, one less,
Mm-hmm.
It helps. So he doesn't know that. Why doesn't he know that? I don't know, because Nolan and Alan should have made it back by now.
I would have thought they were going to make it back.
Definitely should have made it back by now.
I thought they were going to be the saving grace. But
I thought so too. But I like that they didn't, though. Yeah. I kept looking for Nolan to pop in and punch him. And when I realized it wasn't going to happen, right around the time that Oliver was about to be, separated,
mm-hmm.
that's when I realized, oh no, they're not going to make it back. Mm-hmm. They're not going to make it back to Earth at all, because they would have at least let Nolan save his little Thraxan baby,
Right. I understand that it's in homage to Rex, but damn, bro, you already stole the man likeness. Now you gotta steal his name too.
So cringe. cringy as hell. I don't know if that actually happened in the comic books, but that shit is cringy as hell.
I just thought that
to
was
honor Rex, I'm going to take his name. I know I've already taken his body, his DNA, but I'll take his name over as well.
I was like, come on, bro.
Confirming why that was so weird for that future version of him, because that was actually Rudy. That wasn't Rex. That's why he was like, yeah, not your version or something like that. When he was like, Rex, he was like, yeah, not the way that you think, or not your version or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like, that's Rudy. That was fucking Rudy.
Oh my gosh. Okay. They also, with the show, they do a really good job at keeping things in the background to the point like you just forget about them. For example, The Martian. The Martian with all the people underground and all that.
When I tell you we don't have time for that, and you know that they just about to, like, literally, they just about to walk up out of them sewers right as they walking off from the funeral. They gonna be like, oh, we don't have time for this shit.
Right. Things are just gonna keep hitting them. Which actually brings me to my last point is, okay, so Marcus has come to the conclusion that he needs to kill whoever threatens his people, like Eve, Oliver, his mom.
Just the worst conclusion to draw. I'm
what
just
about
gonna
the people of Earth in general.
I'm going to extrajudicially kill whenever somebody harms or threatens my personal bubble of individuals, because we went through this entire season with Mark trying to play super cop and him grandstanding his personal morality and projecting it onto everybody. And his answer on how to better correct that now is to just turn that all inward. Like, to hell with what everybody else thinks in their own personal morality. I don't care anymore. I'm just going to make sure that I kill based off of who threatens my personal, my personal network.
Become a world savior, please.
It got worse. It went from where it was tracking, which was, oh, well, no, it's not my personal morality that matters most. It is morality in general. It is the general good, right and wrong, and not what I think, right? It's whatever does the most good for the most people. Well, that's not even, we didn't even end up there. We ended up at whatever does the most good for me.
Not for nothing, it puts your family in more danger, because now if a villain wants smoke with you, they got to come see your fucking family. Save the world. Protect the world. I don't know. I thought that was a little crazy, but
no, it's more than a bit crazy, because I mean, again, we understand why. He felt like if he would have just killed first, and like you said, not have to be pushed towards that point, then it would have made everything better. But it's just slippery slope, man. It's just, you see somebody who needs to die before they actually start the conflict. What's to stop you to just killing them right then and there, based off of that logic?
Right. Somebody
threatens your family, you're going to go off and kill them so that they never even create the issue for you to have to defend your family.
Crazy.
It's murder.
Crazy.
It's murder.
Yeah. All right. Well, any other thoughts about the season finale at all of Invincible?
Absolutely awesome finale. Can't wait for season 4. The fact that I know now we will see Conquest again. Like, to hell with all those explosives. The holding cell, you got him. None of that's going to hold him. Mm-hmm. It's not. And the minute they re-wake him, it will just start a countdown until he breaks out again. And I can't wait to see Conquest versus Mark twice. Mark 2. Because he's still stronger than Mark. Mm-hmm. Will he be stronger than Mark by the time he gets out? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that the second time around, he will not waste his time talking or thanking Mark for a good fight, or thanking him for the taste of his girlfriend's blood, or letting him get the first shot off on him when he destroys his hand. Like, yes, all of these were great feats, but the thing that makes it even better is the fact that Conquest let most of the most damaging stuff that happened to him happen to him. Mm-hmm. He just allowed it to happen. Yeah. Even the headbutts at the end, he's not fighting back. Mm-hmm. He's inviting it. Mm-hmm. The punch that exploded his mechanical arm, he allowed Mark to load up and do that. Mark was on the ground holding Eve's bloody body with a snapped femur and one of his hands already broken. He is in an ultimately weak position. He could have just snapped and killed him right then and there. He doesn't have to sit there and talk through all of this stuff. It just makes it so good. It makes it so good because that fight was epic, and it almost makes you forget that he's allowing most of it to happen to him. Mm-hmm. It just, oh my God, the rematch is going to be epic because Mark is going to be stronger, and now Conquest is not going to hold back. He's not going to wait. He has no reason to sit here and do any investigation. Mm-hmm. Most of the first third of this fight with Mark was investigation by Conquest. The first third of this fight was him sizing Mark up, trying to see what the upper limits of his power was. And since Mark never graduated into that virile Viltrumite nature, he just assumed, oh, I can take my time. Mm-hmm. I can take my time. I can sustain anything this guy has coming to me. Even at his worst, the most he can do is a little internal bleeding. Okay, well.
Like, he literally admitted multiple times when somebody would interfere, like Oliver, like,
he saved you time.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fuck this kid up now while you
you don't get it. You could have already been dead. The fact that he came in here and distracted me is buying you time. Yeah. The fact that Eve came in here and distracted me is buying you time. You were already dead, kid. Mm-hmm. They're bringing you back to life. Yeah. You should thank your stars he came in here and did that. Because it was the only thing that was keeping me from ending you now. Mm-hmm. At the same token, the fact that he let him sit around, old adage from football, right? You let a team sit around that long, it's going to come back to bite you. Yep. And that's exactly what happened. You sat up there, you taunted Mark, you taunted him, you let him sit around forever, and it came back to bite you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's definitely gonna make for a better fight going
because
forward.
Josh, this guy is not as powerful as Thrag.
Right.
He's not as powerful as Thrag. Mm-hmm. Mark had to break both his arms, almost lose Eve and Oliver and a leg. And then the only way that he could get it done was to headbutt the guy to death because he just didn't have anything else left.
Yeah, it's going to be
This
crazy.
guy's not as strong as Thrag. I can't wait. It has been so long since I've been this excited about comic book content. It has been so long. Not even X-Men 97, which I thought was excellent, was as good as this. Not even X-Men 97, which I found to be excellent outside of Storm and Sunfire, of course. Sunspot. No? Sunspot. Yeah, Sunspot. Sorry. Robert DaCosta. Yeah. Outside of those two characters' depictions and the serial absence of Bishop, the show was excellent, and it wasn't as good as this. So, kudos to Kirkman and the crew. Very good season.
Definitely ready for next season.
I cannot wait until season 4.
Yeah, it should be right around the corner. So,
yep, we
will definitely be here.
Yeah, give us your thoughts on episode 8, the finale of season 3 of Invincible. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Give us all your thoughts on this season, what you expect to see next season. Like, share, and subscribe as always.
Absolutely, and a lot of you turned out for our episode 7 review. So, obviously make sure you go through, check out the playlist, see what we thought about some of the previous episodes, and make sure you subscribe. We'll be here for the next season of Invincible. Peace.